I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to jump right into Trump's interview with Sean Hannity right after his trip to China, which seemed to went pretty well. It didn't really seem to leave it on a strong note like everybody was hoping, but I mean, it could have been worse. But let's get right into it, guys, with Fox News and Sean Hannity. Let's get right into
Um, wow. They rolled out the red carpet. I have video of when Barack Hussein Obama came to China. There wasn't as much pageantry.
it.
From your perspective, that welcome, how did you interpret that?
Well, we have a relationship, he and I, and we've been working together a long time. We've gotten along well. When I first came here, China was really taking advantage of the United States. He understands that. And now we do great with China, and we have a very good relationship. We have a friendship, really. He's a tremendous leader. He's been here a long time, very powerful, very strong. There's no doubt about it. And we just have a good relationship. I did actually see other people arrive here that not treated so well, but we were treated very well.
So that was meaningful for you?
Well, I mean, if I got out of a plane and nobody was there to greet me, I would say that wouldn't be so cool, because it's really respect for our country. Our country is respected. Look, we're the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. But he and I know each other well, I think beyond maybe that. But we certainly got a very nice greeting, and today was beautiful.
Mr.
Yeah, it was
President,
pretty good.
If there was any meeting that I think I would want to be a part of,
I think it was kind of cool how he had the kids out there waving the American and Chinese flag for Donald Trump and all that good stuff. I thought that was kind of cool, so I'll give him that.
I would love to have been in that meeting. Rather than me start
too.
with a bunch of questions about this and that, and I do have specific questions, in your own words, how did this meeting go? Because I knew you were there a long time.
It was a long meeting. It started off interestingly because they're very organized people. And as you know, we have about 30 of the biggest business leaders in the world, biggest everything, you know, I mean, you name it, from chips to planes to everything. And they're all here. I didn't invite them. They all wanted to come. And they're all here. And I suggested that before we start the meeting, I'd like to introduce them to you. And they were surprised because it wasn't scheduled.
Here's the concerning part about that. So you brought those guys over there to pretty much beg China to let them, do business in China. And then here's the thing. Aren't we supposed to be getting these guys, to bring manufacturing or to bring more business back here to America? Like, doesn't it kind of seem like we're kind of going, once again, taking a detour away from putting Americans first? Another one.
And they looked around, they said, well, and then, we had everybody. I don't want to go into names because I'll leave some out. But there were a lot of guys.
Tim Cook, Elon,
a lot of people.
Musk.
Yeah, we had everybody.
The head of NVIDIA was
Jensen. We had just everybody. And men and women, all great business, the best. And they said, okay. And they each spoke a little bit and introduced themselves. And it's interesting because they do business in China. Most of them do business here, but probably like to do more. And I'd like to see them do more. That would be good for trade and trade balance. And they were fantastic. I'll tell you, they really had a good time. Once the Chinese leadership, because it was President Xi and many other leaders, once they got used to the fact that we're a little off schedule here and we're talking about a subject that wasn't even thought about, but they were outside. I said, I think we can get them in 5 minutes because they were literally, a few minutes away from the room where we were in the Great Hall. We were in the Great Hall. And they came in and they did fantastically well. It was really good. I think he actually said, that was very good. That was a good idea. But it was very different from what the schedule had. And then we went on and we talked about a lot of different subjects. And I think it was all good.
Let me ask you this. You always say that you have a very good relationship with President Xi. And you say the same thing about Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
You're America first. You seem to always understand he's going to be China.
Honestly, we have a way better relationship with China than with, Russia. And that's because, we kind of hold each other, economically hostage. So we can pretty much cut off China from our consumerism, and that would destroy them. And China can cut us off from their rare earth minerals, and that would screw us. So we kind of play nice with each other. Russia, we don't got that same attachment to. or else we wouldn't be putting sanctions on them like we do.
First.
Yeah, totally.
And so
he's China first. He wants to make.
Oh, guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen. Appreciate the support.
Good deals. But having a good relationship is a good thing, not a bad thing. I explain to people, it's great when you have good relationships with very powerful countries, and powerful economically as well as we have the most. I built in my first term the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest military in the world. We proved that with Venezuela. We proved it with Iran. Iran's wiped out militarily. It's just a question of time. And we gave them a break by stopping a little while. We have a blockade. They have no boats are going in. No boats are even thinking about it. We talked about it today. It's very interesting. But they're impressed. We have a great military. We have the greatest military we've ever had, but we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. I built it in the first term. A little was given away by Biden to Afghanistan. And as much as it was a lot, but it's a very little compared to what we have. We have a country that is respected. Our country 2 years ago, if Biden came here, I don't even think he would get a meeting with President Xi. I don't think they'd even meet with him.
I don't know if he'd be able to focus long enough in the meeting.
You know what? He wouldn't come here. But assuming he came, I don't know that he'd even have a meeting. It's amazing. Actually, a lot of people, I noticed even with the business leaders, they're the biggest businessmen in the world, and women, a couple of women. And most of them, almost all of them, but most of them never met President Xi. This was the first time they've met him. So they found it exciting. They all performed very well. They all spoke. And I said, it's a little different position for them because they're hot stuff back in our country. But here they are, they're standing in front of this, massive country.
So we brought all these, so you brought billionaires with you to sell out to China is basically what I'm getting. Yeah. That's pretty much what happened there, guys. All those guys who came out there was pretty much going so China, pretty please, can you unblacklist us and let's do business? Pretty please, can you unblacklist the AI companies? Let us have access to your 600,000, 600 million AI users. Pretty please, with a cherry on top.
Leadership, but they really performed well, I thought.
You have in the past described President Xi to me as very tough, all business.
Yeah.
You're not describing the type of business that he normally used to do. Do you think that your relationship has evolved to the point where, he can go along with your spontaneity?
I think he's a warm person, actually, but he's all business. He's, there's no games. There's no talking about how nice the weather is.
He a warm person, but this man be executing people left and right. Bro, this man Xi just disappeared his general. And by disappeared, you know what that means. He's no longer with us. And what? They just try to do a coup against this man. All of them gone. I mean, that man cold-blooded. But there's one thing that everybody like about China when it comes to doing business with China. They don't care what you do. They don't care if you're a dictatorship. They don't care if, you're a crazy monarch. It doesn't matter to them. They'll do business with you. Yeah, China got this great I don't care policy.
Oh, let's look at the
sun. You might want to start adopting that. I'm just saying.
Let's look at the sun. Now he's all business, and I like that. I mean, that's a good thing. No games. I say it about him. And I could say it about some, not as complimentary, frankly, for the most part. But I say about him that if you went to Hollywood and you looked for a leader of China to play a role in a movie,
central casting.
He's central casting. You couldn't find a guy like him. Even his physical features. He's tall, very tall, and especially for this country, because they tend to be a little bit shorter.
I'm not trying to sound racist, but that man Xi is tall for an Asian. Like, bro, my height. Like, bro is literally like 6'2". Like, that's tall for an Asian. I ain't gonna lie. He be towering over his whole his whole staff. Be real.
You look at the military. I mean, the military today was incredible. That military marching was incredible. But no, if you went to Hollywood, you're not going to find a guy to play the role. He's good. And he's I'll get criticized. They always criticize me when I say good things about certain leaders, and this one. But he's a leader for China. He's led almost 1.5 billion people for a long time, and he's respected. It's sort of interesting when the fake news said, he said, they'll say, President Trump said that President Xi was a brilliant leader. That's a terrible thing. What am I going to do? You know,
well,
but it's
come on now. I ain't gonna lie. There was a like bro went off on like a 2-minute glazing rant for Xi. Even I was shocked. I was like, yo, you know, I always say you're a good leader, you're a strong leader, you're the best leader, man. Can I grip your nuts? Like, bro, what? Like, it did get a bit weird. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he was glazing them. He was glazing them. But then again, I'm sorry, but guys, go watch the video. Actually, I might actually have to pull it up because you should have seen the G glaze. It was actually pretty crazy. It's like, wow, I ain't never heard this man ever talk about a world leader like this. And this man, I mean, bro, let's be real. I mean, President Xi, respectfully, he is a good leader, but a humanitarian. I mean, is he an ethical leader, moral leader? Nah, not really, not really. But you could still be a good leader without those.
You know, you saw the response, you saw and here's the thing. Those business people are here to make deals and to bring back jobs. They're bringing back massive numbers. You know, China's going to invest hundreds of billions of dollars with those people that were in that room today. That's why they came. That's why they came. It was really an honor. We had just about every major business leader in there.
Yeah, I mean, the list was impressive. There's no doubt about it. So maybe to give people some insight into how you act in these situations, you're representing our country, you're the president of our country, and we get to watch you on a regular basis, something that the media did not get a lot of access to when Joe Biden was president. But we watch you.
Well, he never did it.
Well,
and when he did do it, it was a disaster. Okay? So, almost 100% of the time, it was a disaster.
Pretty much.
It was a terrible thing for our country. Can't be represented like that. Our country was left at.
Oh, guys, and if you can go ahead and help me hit the goal in the chat of 50 gifts. So yeah, let's go ahead and try to hit the goal in the chat. And also, if not, double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get those likes up. How we get pushed into algorithm. Come on, let's go, chat.
2 years ago, our country was laughed at. We felt like a stupid country. We were scorned. We were mocked. We were taken advantage of in trade and every other way. I mean, look at what happened with Afghanistan. We left all that, you know, billions of dollars of equipment behind. Could have taken it.
And I know. And here we are in the Middle East, wasting billions of dollars of military equipment. I mean, like I said, every time we get involved in the Middle East, it never really works out for us. I'm like, we're always billions of dollars out. And I mean, look, Biden left behind billions of dollars of equipment. Well, we're spending billions of dollars with this conflict/war with Iran. I mean, isn't that crazy, guys? Look at that. Look at that. He's damn near pulling the Biden on us.
It was just unbelievable. There's no reason to do that. It's just all of a sudden and leave it. No, we were a country with the highest inflation in history. You know, when they talk about high prices, I inherited the high prices. I'm getting them down. I've got them down incredibly. In fact, if I didn't make the little excursion to the country of Iran, I had to do it. We just hit the highest stock market ever, which, by the way, now...
Which is wild as hell to say. He's like, so, you know, if I didn't make this excursion to Iran that nobody wanted but the war hawks, you know, you guys would have still had, you know, lower gas prices. Inflation would have still been at that, like, 2.4%. Yeah, we'd have still been there. But, you know, I just had to take this excursion that, you know, skyrocketed your gas prices and have inflation sitting at, like, about, what, 3.8%? But you got to understand, guys, Iran can't have a nuke that they never had or that they were never going towards. But you have to understand.
Highest, we're now higher than we were before the war started. And oil went up very little compared to what most people, even including me, I thought it would go up more. But that was okay for a short period of time because we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. They're crazy.
I'm going to get to that.
You can't let them have a nuclear weapon. They would use it. There'd be no Israel. There'd be no Middle East.
I promise you that response is going to get a bit annoying to me. So Trump, well, like, what's going on with affordability? Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. So, yeah. So what are we going to do about, you know, I don't know, like the border, building more border wall. Oh yeah, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And so it's kind of just like no matter what's going on, this man will just hit you with the Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That response is low-key getting annoying because here's the thing. We're not even tripping about Iran having a nuclear weapon. We're tripping about their ability to enrich uranium.
We know Europe, and they come at us too, because you know why? They're crazy.
I'm going to get back to Iran. Let me go to the media and Donald Trump and then the person and give people insight into the guy that sits in the room across from the leader of China, 1.5 billion people. We watch you almost daily with the media, and I think you enjoy it. You bring them in, they have gaggles, you keep them there for a long period of time. Probably.
It's not that I enjoy it.
You don't enjoy it?
No.
You seem like you do.
Well, every question's a kill. You know, they're always going for the kill. Every question, you see these people with the hatred. I said, you have
Come on, Trump. He enjoy it. He's lying. Come on, stop the cap. Like, let's be real. He likes sitting there and, you know, saying some outrageous stuff when he sat there and called the lady dumb. Like, you know, you're dumb. You know, you're dumb. I'm sorry, but when I just rethink about it, it was low-key pretty damn funny. And this man has low-key been vicious towards the press. But hey, it is what it is. It's kind of comical. And when he's gone, we'll miss it. But let's make sure we double tap that screen like the video, guys. Let's get more people inside this chat by double tapping that screen. All right, let's keep it going.
Hatred when you ask the question, why? Because they have a strong border? Because they have a good military? Why do you have such hatred? The whole thing is crazy. It's not that I enjoy it. It's that I can get the word out, because I don't get the word out. I mean, look, Fox is great, and, you know, we have some that are good. But overall, if you read the New York Times, you actually think we're losing or not doing well in Iran. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force.
Nope, still got a Navy. And here's the problem. The Trump administration says one thing, and then our own intelligence comes out and contradict what they say. So he's going to say, oh, they have no Navy, but no, they still have 60% of their Navy. That's what they're closing down the Strait of Hormuz with right now. Hormuz, yes, that's what they're closing down the Strait of Hormuz with. So, yeah, that's not true. Their Air Force has been destroyed. Well, they still got these Chinese shoulder pad missiles. They're still able to shoot missiles at our aircrafts. Like, obviously, they've shown that to us twice. So that's not true. And then, of course, when they say, oh, well, we've killed like 3 layers of succession, that doesn't matter. The Ayatollah is still in power. The IRGC still holds control over Iran. There has been no regime change. So when it comes to all of the goals, like, we have completed none of them. Like, what have we completed? I know he's going to sit here and try to say we've decimated their military, but our intelligence begs to differ.
It's gone. It's just a question of time. If we want, we stopped. Could have gone for another few weeks. It would have been over. I did that at the request of a lot of leaders that are friendly with them. It's not going to matter for them. They're finished. Now they can make a deal, or they get annihilated. I don't want to do that. Yeah. But we have the greatest military. And, you know, when you do news conferences, you're getting the word out that you're not going to read in the New York Times. I mean, I read these things. I see some of your other networks, the way they cover, they will take a massive military victory and make it like we should have done it faster. Yeah. The one thing they couldn't complain about was Venezuela, because it was over in one day. So we're comparing it to.
So here's my question.
You know,
here's the thing, and not that we wish you'd do it faster. We wish you'd never started. That is the main problem here on both sides. On both sides of the aisle, we wish you never started. But since we're in it, yeah, we would wish you to actually finish it within the 4 days to 2 weeks that you said initially. But here we are in day 70 plus. So. Yeah, I think we kind of have the right to be a bit irritated with this war/conflict, because a lot of people don't want to call it a war, which it is.
Example, Vietnam lasted for 19 years, right? I think Iraq was 10 years. Thousands and thousands of people killed there. Many, many thousands in Vietnam. And we have, sadly, we've lost, in 2 wars, we've lost 13 people. 13. That's 13 people too many. But we've lost 13 as opposed to 75,000, as opposed to 50,000, as opposed to numbers that are staggering. Think of it. We're 19 years in Vietnam. Every war, we're 4 years, 8 years, 9 years. Iraq was 10 years. We're on all these wars.
Now, come on now. Here's a problem with that point. And just me being fair with it. You can't really compare an ongoing war to concluded war. So how about this? You end a war and then you could tell everybody about how they was tripping over. Okay, come on, guys. It was like 70 days, bro. What was the last one? 5, 6 years, 70 years? Come on, guys. You're tripping. But you can't hit us with that when the war is still ongoing.
I've been there for like a couple of months, and the Navy's gone. They have 159 ships. Every single one of them is now happily floating or not floating on the bottom of the sea. No, every one. They have no Air Force. They had a nice Air Force. They don't anymore. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. Now, they probably have. I mean, we know everything they've done. They built it up a little bit. We'll take it out in one day. It'll all be gone.
Yeah, well, they still got about 70% of their missiles, and that include anti-aircraft missiles. So we still got that problem. If we're about to go inside and try to strike Iran again, it's going to be bad. And here's the thing: Iran is threatening to cut off the internet cables underneath the Strait of Hormuz. And I know if you don't know, yes, we kind of got a good amount of our internet cables. Yes, the fiber cables underneath the sea in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, they can cut that off and cut off internet to that entire region. And that would decimate e-commerce and a whole lot more. So Iran is pretty much threatening to take out the entire internet of that region. And that would be absolutely, I mean, bro, I don't even want to imagine it. Let's just say it would be like a doomsday scenario in a way. In a way. No internet. I mean, and, you know, for the people in that area that didn't already have internet, I mean, they're good. But for those who did, you know, rely on e-commerce and GPS and all that good stuff, yeah, they're all cooked.
I hope they're watching, because all of their anti-stuff, anything they put up, we know exactly what they put up. You know, they had a little respite. And so they're trying to get a few things together. They have taken some missiles from underground. We know exactly what they're doing. It'll all be gone in one day. Everything they've done for the last 4 weeks will be gone in one day. But when you read some of these horrible papers, if you watch CNN as an example, or that other one, they used to go to MSDNC, now it's MS Now, and they got rid of it because it was such an embarrassment. It gets no ratings. CNN has just been destroyed.
You were pretty funny the other day. You were in the Oval Office and you go, you know, I think whatever I want to do, I'm going to say the opposite. Then I'll get what I want.
It took me a while, you know.
But by the way, there's probably some.
No, I'm going to announce what I don't want. I'll be able to get it. They'll immediately, like, I'll say, we will not build a wall. We will not because I built over 1,000 miles of wall. People don't even talk about it. We have the safest southern border in the history of our country. We have the safest border in the world, other than North Korea. I tell you, North Korea has a pretty safe border. They've got 5 fences that are fully electrocuted.
You were at that border.
I saw. There's never been anyone who's.
I mean, no, that's true though. He definitely did close down the border, and he is doing internal immigration, which is a very risky political move. But I ain't gonna lie, shout out to Trump for doing so. But here's the problem, though. He's kind of lax on the H-1B visas because he's actually approved to let more in. And we've hit our cap for H-1B visas last year in 2025. So it doesn't really seem like he's tackling that at all whatsoever. And then also, oh, yeah, they stopped doing mass migration, guys. And now the Republicans are now trying to come out with a Dignity Act for, you know, the construction workers and the farmers to give them amnesty. So basically, mass amnesty for undocumented immigrants, sponsored by and being pushed by Republicans, of all people. Republicans.
One person that got through, but he ended up dying about 10 feet as he got through.
All right, thanks for watching. Check out my new podcast, Hanging Out With Me.
But all right, go. Let's get on to the next part of the video. And guys, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to post it on top of the screen and read it out loud. Just $2 and up. All right, let's keep it going. Oh, or you can also send a Venmo as well. All right, let's get right into it.
All right, we continue my interview with President Trump for the full hour. Now, of course, this was right after his all-important meeting with President Xi as we continue our interview. Let me go to the issue of trade, tariffs, intellectual property theft. I'm sure, especially with all those big business people you brought in, those are big. Any progress you can report?
Yeah, I mean, it is progress, but I also tell people that, you know, I was on an interview with a very bad, you know, stupid reporter. She works for CBS. You saw their 60 Minutes. Stupid person. just an average person. You could take anybody off the street and it'd be as good as she is, you know, just very average. And she asked me a question.
Yeah.
She's talked about China, this and that, that they steal this and they steal that. And I said, yeah, we do it to them too. You know, they spy on us. I said, we spy on them too, I guess, you know. So some people thought that was cute. Other people said, nah, you don't have to say that. I said, I sort of do. No, we do things and they do things, and that's the way it is. Now, with that being said, I spoke to him very strongly about that, and I'd like to see it taken care of. But they've been doing that for 50 years. You know,
Will we see a change? In other words, will there be an improvement with trade?
Fentanyl is way down coming into the country for two reasons. The border's strong, but it's also down because they're sending less. You know, we taxed them. I gave them a 20% tariff, and because of fentanyl, it's like a penalty. Nobody ever did that. You didn't know that probably. I gave them a 20% tariff because they're sending fentanyl. It's a huge amount of money. I actually said, you know, the tariff is costing you $200 billion, and you make $200 million, much less, a small percentage from the sale. I think from the sale of the fentanyl. And so fentanyl is used for a lot of different reasons, but the bad reason probably outweighs the good. You know, that fentanyl is used for a lot of, you go into fentanyl, it's used for a lot of different things, including operations, et cetera, et cetera. But it's been a disaster. But as you know, I put on a charge of 20%, a tariff of 20%. Nobody else would do that. And we do well with China, and I think we'll both do well. These people really, what I'd like to see, China doesn't open the country. It's massive. It would be unbelievable for our companies if they opened it. And I think it would be good for China too.
Any indication they will open?
Well, they're going to open some of it. Yeah. They open it in stages. I'd like to just see.
I mean, yeah, if they buy more American product, you know, up their purchasing of American products and all that good stuff, that's great. But if you're talking about, you know, these guys just selling out and pretty much taking more of their business over there, then you're kind of selling us out. But we'll see.
But, you know, they guard their country, and he cherishes his country. He wants to take, you know, he wants China to be, you know.
What does he want from you? What does he want?
Is the greatest phrase of all time. But
what does he want from you?
Here's a problem. I don't think Xi's willing to sell anything. I mean, buy anything from us. Well, the only thing that they really buy is materials to do manufacturing, and that's pretty much it. That's mostly what they buy. It's like ethanol and all that good stuff for their plastic. Outside of that, they don't really do much with us.
Have a similar.
What does he want from the U.S.?
A lot of things. We talked about a lot of things. Too many things to discuss, but a lot of things. We had a very good meeting, but we want things from them. One thing he agreed to today is going to order 200 jets. That's a big thing. Boeing. 200 big ones. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot. Boeing wanted 150. He got 200. He said, I think it was a commitment. I mean, you know, sort of like a statement, but I think it was a commitment. It's a great thing. That's a lot of jobs. Boeing's doing a good job. They're catching up. The requests were a lot, and our requests were a lot. We requested for a lot. We have Visa, which is not allowed to trade, and they were there. It was a big company, and other companies are allowed to trade. And I said, what about letting Visa? We had the head of Visa there today, by the way. Visa's a big deal. I said, what about using Visa in China? For some reason, they were blackballed. And maybe that'll come off. So we had a lot of, you know, we were in there for a few hours, right?
I don't know, man. When you're out here throwing sanctions willy-nilly, why would I want to work with Visa? I mean, I kind of understand China's, like, you know, unwillingness to have Visa in their country, because, like, yo, when you throw sanctions around, Visa is going to be the main place where you're going to enforce it.
Do you think you made progress? Did you feel like that the give and take, like, well, for example, you're not going to sign this big agreement after hours meeting, but do you feel the foundation was laid for great success?
Better than last time. You know, last time we signed like 36 deals. This time it's much bigger than that.
Oh, guys, if you got any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements you want me to read out loud, engage with, you can please go ahead and super chat that in. Otherwise, I'll just look at the chat, and if it's something funny enough or informative enough, I'll go ahead and I'll pull it up. But other than that, I would appreciate it if you super chat in.
Talked about soybeans for our farmers. They're going to do a lot of soybeans for our farmers. They're going to be buying a lot of our farm product, which is great. They have an unlimited appetite, as the expression goes. They can buy as much as when you have that many people, they need it. And we have the best product. We're the best, sort of the best of everything.
And as part of the trade war, one way China kind of hit us with a gut punch was pretty much stopping their purchases of soybeans. And that kind of decimated a lot of our soybean farmers. So pretty much when we kind of start bringing down the tariffs on China, one of the stipulations was that, oh yeah, you guys got to start buying more soybeans more and more over time. And I'm pretty sure as Trump met up with him, he's like, yeah, so you think you can, speed that up?
Be doing that. Very farmer to me is very, I must have gotten 95% of the farm vote. And by the way, we just signed the farm bill, or we just approved the farm bill in Congress, which a lot of people thought was not going to happen. The Democrats are against farmers. You believe it? I say, how can they be against? Add that to the men and women sports center. The Democrats are against farmers. Can you believe it?
That's funny.
So anyway, they're defective. I came up with a new name. I don't know if I should.
I know which one it is.
Democrats. Because they're dumb. They're dumb. It's D-U-M. I got rid of the B. So you're only changing one letter, right? E goes and the U comes. It's a Democrat.
You take up more space in people's heads than any one person on the face of this earth, right? You live rent-free.
I was talking about a guy, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a very low IQ individual. And I talked about him. I said, he's a dumb guy. He's a Democrat. And I said, oh, what a great name.
A Democrat.
So
let me ask you this. The issue, and you've been asked about.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Hakeem Jeffries is like the worst offender of I have no policies, but F Trump. Like literally the worst offender. If you ask Hakeem Jeffries, all right, so what's the Democrats' plan for, fixing healthcare? Well, let me tell you about how Donald Trump is doing with healthcare. Okay, well, yeah, whatever. But what's your plan? Well, let me tell you about Donald Trump. That's what they do all the time. All right, well, what you gonna do with the economy to help out with affordability? Well, let me tell you what Donald Trump is doing with affordability. Oh, no, bro. What's your plan? Donald Trump is actually doing the worst with the economy since wah. Yeah, he's like the worst offender of doing that bullshit.
About it, and you've spoken about it, and that is China's support of Iran. How big a discussion was that today?
We discussed it. I mean, when you say support, they're not fighting a war with us or anything.
No.
He said he's not going to give military equipment. That's a big statement. He said that today. That's a big statement. Said that strongly. But
yeah, I doubt that. First off, Iran was already loading up with China before this war popped off. They was already loading up with China. So it's already too late for that. So pretty much, I guess he's telling Trump, we won't sell any more further weapons to Iran. And then, of course, Iran was using Chinese and Russian satellites. Spy satellites to pretty much get coordinates on American military bases. And, what was it? Not only our bases, but our radars as well.
At the same time, he said, they buy a lot of their oil there, and they'd like to keep doing that. He'd like to see Hormuz Strait opened. I said, well, we didn't stop it. They did it, and then we stopped them. Sort of interesting. He joked. He said, it's sort of, they stopped it, then you stopped them. But they'd like to see it opened. But they actually closed it. He didn't like the fact that they're charging tolls. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know who would pay them. I mean, where do they put the money? The country's decimated. They're charging tolls. Where's the money going?
So do you think President Xi and China have the ability to influence the Iranians, considering they are one of their biggest customers?
But,
no. Not when it comes to this war. Not at all. Like, I know everybody has this fantasy of maybe, oh no, he's gonna get their big brother. He's gonna get Iran's big brother, China, and they're gonna pull him to the side and make him stop this war and open up the strait. Yeah, that's a fantasy. That's not happening. Actually, China's like, you know what? I mean, we can make sure we get our oil. We can make sure we get our resources. And you know, we could still try to do a good deal with you, but as far as making Iran stop, I mean, we have no say in that. I mean, one of China's main policies is that we don't care what that government does. They don't. So if Iran wants to go to war with the US and they want to keep it going, China's just going to be like, well, all right, bro, just whatever, just don't drag us into it. And that's always how China's been. I don't care who you are, I'll do business with you. And I won't get involved in your politics.
Look, he's not coming in with guns. He's not coming in with rifles and not coming in shooting. You know, somebody said he's been very good. They get a lot of their oil, 40% of their oil from that location. So what has happened, and one thing I think that we're going to make a deal on, they've agreed they want to buy oil from the United States. They're going to go to Texas. We're going to start sending Chinese ships to Texas and to Louisiana and to Alaska. And I think that was another thing that was agreed to. That's a big thing.
What about liquefied natural gas? It's not that
much longer.
Gas too?
Yeah, everything. Energy.
Energy.
That's the one thing. They really need energy. That's the one thing. They have an insatiable appetite for energy, and we have unlimited energy. You know, we've now under me, but we now produce more than, if you combine Saudi Arabia and before the war, if you took Saudi Arabia, Russia, put them together, we're doing twice as much oil and gas as they are. Think of that. It's amazing.
Venezuela that was where too.
Called drill, baby, drill.
I mean, it's amazing for the oil execs, but it does nothing for us because, well, we sell our oil to the world. So, AKA, oil is a global commodity. So it's priced on the supply of what's going around on the globe. So when there's 20% of the oil supply being held up in the Strait, that's going to drive up prices. And unless we just nationalize our oil and we just stop selling abroad and we just only sell to ourselves, or we only use our oil for ourselves, that's pretty much the only way we probably could be like, okay, well, yeah, oil prices are going to go down because we're producing more oil for ourselves. But that's not the case. We're producing oil for ourselves and to sell abroad.
Oh, well, I mean, when you really think about it, if they have a problem with Iran, and they need the Strait more than we need it open,
we don't need it at all.
We don't need it at all.
We don't need it at all.
Fair enough. So,
I mean, you could make the case. You
know, like I said, if we want to bring down oil prices, then yeah, we do kind of need it. Unless we want to deal with the fact that 20% of the oil is going to be regulated now, or just not put into the global market, and that's going to keep prices high. Oh man, and then God forbid we actually let Iran control the Strait with their $2 million a barrel fee. Oh, I mean, prices are gonna still stay up. So I would have to ask Trump, all right, what's the plan here? Because you're saying that we don't need it, but I mean, if we want to control price, if we want to like get a grip on price, then we're gonna have to do something about that Strait. We just can't produce our way out of it.
Why are we even? We're doing,
you know, without shutting off abroad sales, of course.
To help Israel and to help Saudi Arabia and to help Qatar and UAE and, you know, Kuwait and other countries, Bahrain.
It also helps China.
And I told them today, I said, you know, we're helping you, and we're helping you in another way, because I don't think China wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon either.
Bro, China don't care.
I said, they're stone cold crazy. You don't need them having a nuclear weapon either.
What did he say? What did he say?
Well, he's not going to respond too much. He's a pretty cool guy. He's not going to say, "Oh, gee, that's a good point."
I think he might.
What's he going to do?
Oh,
say,
I mean,
what a wonderful point.
I mean, here's the thing. One, I don't think China cares that they have a nuclear weapon. And two, if they was to choose, I think they would want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, because that means one of their best assets is pretty much solidified, like it's protected all the way through. They don't got to worry about regime change or anything like that. Everybody just can leave them alone. So if anybody wants Iran to have a nuke, it would probably be China and Russia.
Agreed.
But, you know, they're not going to give it to them.
Yeah, I think
that was the impression.
I don't think he wants them to have. No, he would like to see it end. But he's been good about it, you know. Hasn't done anything hostile.
They get discounted oil from Iran. Here's a thought. Because if you're going to expand...
Well, guys, make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen, and make sure to support the show with a super chat or a gift. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Trade, and it's going to include benefits for our farmers, and it's going to include manufacturing and all those, you know, top CEOs and executives that you brought into that meeting that they
Right.
didn't expect. I would imagine that there probably is a deal to be had on the energy front, which would be great for our country. Because
So I told him I'd love to see you buy oil from Texas and Louisiana, from the United States, Alaska. We've got so much of it. And he said he likes the idea. He'd like to talk about that. I think it'll happen.
yeah,
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't know. If
I think that would be a huge announcement.
Look, they're doing it right now. They're sending Chinese ships up to buy oil.
They do.
So we're doing, and I don't like talking about it because then the fake news media says,
like I said, it helps out the oil execs, but it doesn't help out the American people when it comes to gas prices. It doesn't whatsoever.
Trump doesn't talk about the fact that somebody's paying $2.50 from, I had it down to $1.85 in Iowa a gallon. So now it's $4, and it's going to not be long. And as soon as the war ends, it's going to go down to lower than it was before. It's going to be very quick. And, when I explain it to people, all you have to do is say, do you think Iran, they're crazy, should have a nuclear weapon? Everybody says no. I said, well, then you think I'm doing the right thing. And I have no choice. The sad thing is that we had just broken every record on the stock market, as you know. I thought the market would go down 20, 25 points. It didn't. It's higher now than it was before we started.
All right. If you want,
well, what? But isn't that amazing?
And that's the problem. Here's the problem about bragging about the stock market while people are, seeing higher prices. You're just letting everybody know that, yeah, well, guess what? It seems like kind of working for the corporate guys now, the corporate elites. Like, yeah, they're making money, but what about the Americans when it comes to affordability? What is that no longer on your mind no more? Or is it just about the corporate guys turning over a buck? That's all you're bragging about. You ain't bragging about how Americans are paying like lower gas prices no more. You ain't talking about lower inflation no more. You're talking about how the corporate elites are making a good buck out here. And I mean, God bless, but that ain't helping the average American citizen whatsoever.
It is amazing. And, I know people around you told you oil prices would go up. Okay. I had a conversation with you and I asked you if I could bring this up. And I said, Mr. President, if you wanted to knock out Iran's economy, you could probably do it in under an hour. And you said to me, no, probably in 5 minutes.
Yeah, very little time.
That's what you said to me. And then I asked you.
Well, we hit Carg Island, everything but the oil. We left that one little thing. I say, stay 50 yards away. And I said to General Raisin Kane, I said, General, how long will it take? He said 4 or 5 minutes. I said, no, seriously, how long? I figured he'd say a day or 2 days, a week. He said, no, only 4 or 5 minutes. They wiped out the whole island, except they left the nozzle. That's where the oil comes out, just in case.
You know what? That would end this conflict. That would end this war.
Well, it would, but then
you said to me.
Then you'd lose a lot of oil. And I don't know. Look, right now, there's no oil coming out of Carg Island. None. Zero.
They're going to cap those wells.
People are finding other places to buy oil, like Texas.
I don't know, man. Tell that to the 20 Iranian shadow fleets that made it through the blockade. Like, tell that to them. I don't know about that.
So I don't want to say we're making a fortune. You understand that? Because if I say, they're going to say, oh, he forgets about the little man, with the $4 gasoline.
You said the reason, you said to me, this would wipe out their economy for over a decade. It's a population of over 90 million people that have been oppressed for 47 plus years.
Yeah.
And you said you didn't want to do that if you didn't have to.
So if I don't have to, I don't. Oh, that's the easiest shot of all. That would be done in 1 minute. The island took 4 minutes. The only thing I said, leave 50 yards around. They wiped out everything.
Taking Carg Island would take 4 minutes. Hey, yo, all right, bro. Who lying to this man? Somebody's lying. Somebody's obviously lying to this man, bro. If you take Carg Island in 4 minutes, bro, no, I'm sorry. Like, not even in our wildest dreams would that happen. To where we just take Carg Island in 4 minutes, bro. That's not happening. Like, maybe he's over-exaggerating it, but I'm going to tell you this. Well, he's definitely over-exaggerating. But, bro, we wouldn't be able to even take that in 40 hours. It's going to take a minute. You got to remember, this is close to their ports where they can fire off missiles and drones, and it's right there. I mean, bro, like, they can shoot over into other countries. What makes you think that they can't shoot into Carg Island? Like, what? That's just not – I'm sorry. That's not logically thinking. Like, and first off, it's almost like he doesn't know the geography of Iran. Well, maybe if he did, and he understood that they have a huge body of water called the Caspian Sea above them, he'd also realize why this blockade isn't really working.
Everything. I mean,
I don't know, guys. Maybe Trump needs a geography lesson of Iran. Like, here's Iran. Here's these two big ass mountains on the side of it, making it damn near impossible to invade. Here's this big ass body on the north of it, where they could still transport their goods, and damn near makes it once again impossible to invade. And then here's the Strait of Hormuz, where they can close anytime they want. So on the south of it. So this is why we should not invade Iran.
Wiped out. It would
That's all we
take
needed. That's all somebody had to say.
one plane, 1 minute. That's all it would take. When you do that, you start off. That's a big statement to do that. Now, you also have bridges. You also have